Hey everyone, welcome. Welcome back if you're a seasoned subscriber. So today I'm going to make a video to share with you what I've learned buying pre-owned Van Cleef Arpels Alhambra jewelry primarily on eBay over the last 15 years. These tips are really key so that you can get an authentic piece at an amazing price, or at least discounted over what retail, that makes it worth looking at eBay. And don't be afraid, eBay is an amazing platform. And yes, there are things that you can do to make sure that you have a great experience on that platform and really get your money's worth. Okay, let's get started. So the number one thing that I start with, and these are the steps that I take when I first look at eBay and specifically search for the Van Cleef Arpels Alhambra jewelry. So I look to see, is the item listed at a realistic price? The first thing I'm looking at is to see if I see an item that has diamonds or has like a precious jewel or something like carnelian or malachite or turquoise. These are going to be more expensive than even mother of pearl. And it's important that they are not going to be, you're not going to find these things listed for $100 or even $200. And especially when you have an item that is in the neighborhood retail of 7,000 plus, don't be looking at something that's listed at 1,200 and thinking, oh yeah, that's a good deal. Those things are the first thing you should rule out, because you don't want to buy that item. That is, unless you're looking for a duplicate or a fake. That is entirely your choice. But today we're going to focus on buying authentic items from Van Cleef Arpels. Now, a little backtracking here, but Van Cleef Arpels, we all know that when we look at handbags, we have the trifecta. We have Hermes, Chanel, and Louis Vuitton. Well, when you look at jewelry, you have a similar trifecta. The top three jewelers, believe it or not, are Harry Winston, and then Cartier, and then Van Cleef Arpels. These companies have been around for a significant amount of time. In fact, Cartier and Van Cleef have both been around for over 100 years. And they have lasted this long because their jewelry is high quality, handcrafted, of the highest quality materials, and their clientele are the elite of the elite. So when you want to buy something that not only you'll enjoy and is a great investment and something you'll be proud to pass on down to your kids, these are the brands, as far as jewelry is concerned, that you should look into. Okay, so number two, beware of the 0% or zero feedback eBay seller. That is another huge thing to look out for. When you see that, alarm bells need to go off, because those sellers have nothing to lose. If they scam somebody, tomorrow they can close their account. They don't care. And what I found is that goes hand in hand with number one. It's those sellers that are usually listing items that are supposedly thousands upon thousands at these enormously unrealistic rock bottom prices that you would never expect these pieces to go for. Even people who have items that are older, vintage pieces that may not be aware of how much Van Cleef has retained in value, they still will not list their pieces at those kind of outrageous markdowns. So I clearly steer clear of those kind of sellers. On top of that, the next, number three, is looking at the pictures. Are these pictures clear? Are they should be, there's no reason they should have pictures that aren't of the highest resolution. You want to make sure that whatever you're buying, the key to getting an authentic piece is seeing pictures of the actual item and seeing really high res pictures. And I will say that those sellers, specifically from Japan, have this down pat. In fact, another tip that I'm going to share is how to use those listings to your advantage. So number four that I always do after I find a listing that I find interesting and I could potentially want to buy, I will contact the seller. Now I will do this for most sellers, unless it's a seller like from Japan. Typically they don't respond as much, but they really rely on the fact that their listings are extremely detailed and clear, especially when it comes to the photos. So it behooves you to really look at those and look at the listing itself. I would say out of all the sellers on eBay, the ones that come from Japan, it's my experience, 98% of those sellers are selling authentic pieces, most of which are a little older and vintage, but still gorgeous things. And you know that they're they're authentic. Now, when I give advice here, this is what I use. Now, I can make mistakes too. I've been fortunate and I haven't made too many. But that's another thing about eBay. You are protected, and we'll get to that. So the thing I want to tell you as well is number 5. After you ask your questions, is I want you to beware of listings that you see things where it says VCA or Van Cleef style, or that it's 14 karat semi Van Cleef. These things are not authentic Van Cleef and Arpels pieces. And I see that immediately, red flag, don't even want to get involved in it. Number 6, can you zoom in on the pictures on that listing? Very important thing. In order to really understand what the person is selling, and especially when you're talking about pieces like Van Cleef, you have to be able to see the hallmarks. You have to be able to see all the stamps to prove that they've got the right stamps. And now, especially this day and age, counterfeiters are rampant. They have the ability to generate AAA fakes that are so astoundingly accurate, it is absolutely scary. So you cannot just rely on the actual pictures. You need to contact the sellers. You need to ask the right questions. You need to say, where did you get this? Give me some provenance. Can you give me some more pictures, different angles, whatever it is you need to do in order to really hone in and be sure that what you're getting is authentic, or at least your best chance of getting something really great and authentic. Okay, now, number 7, key piece here. Take the time to educate yourself about the piece you want to buy. I can't stress this enough. If you're interested in a certain piece, especially when it comes to the Alhambra line, you need to learn how many links there are between each motif. What are the brands, the hallmarks that you should look for? Where do they exist on the actual piece? Some of the pieces that they make from the Alhambra line, especially the higher end ones, they don't even have a normal clasp. They have a clasp that is hidden behind a motif. If you sometimes see a counterfeit and they're trying to cut corners, they may not make that. So it's really important to get familiar with the piece that you're trying to buy. The more you know, knowledge is power. The more you know about that piece, the safer you are in terms of buying something that in the end you're not going to have a lot of disappointment in, and you're not going to have to go through the trouble of returning. So number 8, we want to get the best deal, but you have to move fast. So the other thing that I noticed on eBay, especially when it comes to some of the pieces that I found over the years where I've had significant savings, we're talking 50 to 60% off of retail. And these items retain their value, so they don't typically sell for that type of retail discount. What I have found is that you have to move fast. So if you see something that catches your eye and you contacted the seller and you looked over the pictures and you've done your work in terms of really getting the knowledge about the piece, you literally have minutes to make that decision. And that is why it is so important to have all this knowledge ahead of time, so that when you do find the right piece, and listen, I will admit, you have to really stalk the website. I enjoy looking at the listings on eBay. I keep refreshing to see what comes up as new listings. And when I see an item that really catches my eye and I hit all my points, I'm ready to pull the trigger and buy it, because I know guaranteed there are other people doing the same thing. So it does pay off, because I have found some amazing, amazing deals. Number 9, don't skip any steps and rush to buy the piece without doing the homework. So that's another thing. You think it was contradicting number 8, but it's not. On one hand, you have to pull the trigger quickly. But on the other hand, if you are not sure, then don't do it. So in other words, get prepared, learn what you have to know about the piece, and then you will be ready to buy it when the right item comes up for sale. Last is number 10 is eBay protects its buyers. eBay is, a lot of sellers complain about this, but as far as a buyer is concerned, the onus is not on the buyer to prove that an item is authentic. That is the onus of the seller. And in fact, eBay feels very strongly about this. And even if a seller says they don't accept returns, eBay is going to take it back. If you put in that it is a fake item, if after all your due diligence, you still end up with something that's not authentic, do not fear. You can return it. And I get it. It's a headache. You have to go through the process. You have to wait the time to get the money back. But at least you have that guarantee that you're not throwing away thousands or, however much money that you've invested into this piece. Now, on the other hand, if it's authentic and you get a great deal, you will enjoy it for a lifetime. And it's an amazing thing to have. So what's my bonus? Thank you for sticking around until now. So I have 2 additional bonus tips that I'd like to share. The first one is sellers that you can look for and check out their stores on eBay that have these items listed at, they're pretty decent prices, and sometimes you can, even if they're a buy it now best offer, you can offer them some, what you can afford, leave a note, and they might take you up on it. I recently have a video, and I'll link it below in the description and above somewhere here as well. But basically, I bought this beauty, this Van Cleef Arpels Sweet Alhambra butterfly bracelet, and I got this from a pawn shop listing. And I got it because I went through and made an offer, and we went back and forth, but we landed at a really good price, and they were willing to deal with me. And I made sure to make them understand, this is how much I can afford. And especially right now with the economy being what it is, sellers that are pawn shops, estate resellers, consignments that put up really nice pieces on eBay are willing to negotiate. So you have the opportunity, and I saved over $800 from retail on the retail price on this bracelet. Now, the last thing I want to show you, of course, is this necklace. So this piece, and I'll insert some close-up pictures as well. This piece, I was able to save over $1,500 off the retail price. Now it's easy. This is a Van Cleef Alhambra vintage Alhambra pendant necklace with one motif in yellow gold, 18 karat, with the mother of pearl. It is a classic piece. It will not go out of style, and I know I will enjoy it for a very long time. So I hope that this video was very informative, and if you really enjoy this kind of content, I would love to hear from you. Would you be willing to buy something on eBay? I think I asked that on my earlier videos. I really want to hear from you guys in my comments. Of course, smash that like button below, leave me a thumbs up. I would love to I read all my comments. Leave me some of your questions on what your concerns are if you ever want to buy pre-owned Van Cleef on eBay. Of course, subscribe. I would love to have you as part of my luxury addicted family. And finally, I would love to have you back. So please let me share my knowledge with you, and everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.